Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Don't let me down, Bruce. Old ELO song. Remember that?
I do remember that.
Don't let me down, Bruce. I always thought they were singing to me, and I wasn't thinking, how am I letting you down? I'm just a guy. Anyway.
That is an odd song. I like that song. I like the ELO.
I like Yellow.
That one we already have our mandatory 1970s reference, Bruce.
And The Move, the band that predated the Yellow, were a fine band also. Anyways,
and the Traveling Wilburys, who came after them with Jeff Lynne.
Jeff Lynne, yeah, the common denominator to all three.
Bruce, I'm going to proclaim, it's my opinion, that was the Battle of Alberta game of this century. I thought it was a fantastic hockey game. And I'm saying that because it had all the classic elements of a Battle of Alberta game, even though the Oilers lost. I mean, the Oilers didn't win every Battle of Alberta game. So sometimes the bad guys won. And that's what happened here. They tied. So it had fighters fighting each other. It had, Tkachuk and Kassian having their big revenge match. We had Nuge and Monahan. That's what really put it over the top.
That was a real fight, actually.
It was a real fight, and that's what put it over the top.
Tkachuk one was kind of meh.
Yeah, it was
but
nothing.
The Nuge and Monahan, they were pissed. I mean, these are guys that never fight, but something set them off. Nuge was tossing bombs out there.
When you get two skilled guys fighting, that's the Battle of Alberta. We had a dirty hit. We had a weird goal against that left us feeling agonized. We had excellent saves at both ends. Great offensive chances by Oilers superstars. They just were absolutely scintillating. We had some ugly Oiler breakdowns leading to Flames goals. Unlikely hero in Matt Benning scoring us, and we had some Flames villains, Giordano and Rittich, David Rittich was a villain because he was just so damn good. The Oilers had 14 grade A scoring chances to 7 for the Flames. Heck of a game from the Oilers, even though they lost 4-3. Even though they were coming off a 10-day break, which was just brutal scheduling by the NHL, but the Oilers fought through it, and that was a thrilling hockey game. I'm glad the Oilers got a point, Bruce. They really deserve it.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, this was, it stinks to lose that freaking shootout, but it's the luck of the draw. I mean, they dinged the post square on twice, and David Rittich decides he's the friggin' hero, and he tosses a stick in the air. His goalpost saved his ass.
You didn't break a clipboard that game.
I'm just bitter. No, I'm just bitter. I actually like David Rittich, but his hot dog act can rub me the wrong way if he's playing against the wrong team, which he obviously was tonight.
Yeah. You didn't break a clipboard, but McDavid broke his hockey stick. Okay, we're going to do our 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers podcast. Bruce, what is your good thing?
Well, I got to go with a tying goal by Matt Benning, and actually the 3rd tying goal because Edmonton came back to tie it 3 different times. But the 3-3 goal that came out of nowhere in the 3rd period that was so tight that each team had only 4 shots on net, and what had previously been a very wide open game. But Matt Benning managed to make the play with the rink length dash and a very nifty move to get in, and then he beat Rittich. I thought actually that was not a really good goal on Rittich's part. In fact, he made some great saves, and I thought a couple of the goals he let in were not great. A rebound goal and the Benning one. But from an Edmonton perspective, Matt Benning, who hasn't finished a game since November, has.
I got a cat behind me attacking my flowers.
Okay,
go ahead.
That's why they're moving. Okay. Anyway, the Matt Benning hadn't finished a game since November. And he just had that one game where he started and he got hit in the head with a puck. And so tonight he came in. He only played 11 minutes, 11 seconds, but he tied for the defense lead with 3 shots on net and 6 shot attempts. And of course, he was the only defender who managed to score a goal. And a huge goal it was. To lose that game in regulation would have been painful, painful, painful. As it is, it stings, but you take your point and you move on. You're progressing towards the final result, of the season when you score points, and they got one of the 2 points. So
That Benning goal was a real kind of 1970s kind of goal because he wasn't going too fast as he was
hmm
going up the ice, but he was kind of slinking up the ice and he made a good deke, not at a high speed deke, but he deked him out of his shorts and he went in there and kind of made a move on the goalie and slammed it home. That was like a Brad Park uh, kind of goal. Igor Larionov. Um, nice goal by Matt Benning. Man, it would have, I think it would have been a little bit of injustice if the Oilers hadn't tied that game.
hmm
They had tons of strong chances. The Flames didn't have that many. They scored on three of their first four grade A
yeah,
chances. And they were tough. There was a deflection by Larson, and the Mangiapane had a good shot, like a low to high snap shot. Smith had to be back in his net. I think the third one Smith might have had, though. What do you think? Like the across the crease, that it was
yeah.
it was a grade A chance, but
He
there was
needs
enough
save
there
there.
that Smith could have jammed him or got on him or made a play there and made that save.
Well, what he did needed to not do was lift his pad off the ice to give him the whole bottom of the net so he could slide it underneath. Like he guessed that Mangiapane was going to try to roof it, but by lifting his pad first before the buddy even had to shoot the puck, he made his job easy for him. Pad up, puck down, slide it home. So I really didn't like the way he played that, but he did get hung out to dry on the play. Like Mangiapane had a good two or three steamboats to make his move and his shot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Too many
that's
steamboats.
that's an old Harry Neal expression, but you know what it's from. One steamboat,
Oh,
two
two
steamboats,
steamboats.
three steamboats,
And
and
then you can
three
rush the
steamboats is
quarterback.
way too many steamboats in front of your own net.
Yeah. We played that in flag football or like a
hmm
football. Then you could rush the quarterback after five steamboats.
Uh-huh.
Um, all right. Sorry, I'm working on a little bit of a cold here, Bruce.
Yeah, I could hear your voice a little soft. You're right from the hop, yeah.
Ryan Nugent Hopkins is my good thing.
hmm
He really came to play tonight.
hmm
And, he was in the right place at the right time on the goal line to save that goal. If that goal's in, that game is over. 2-0, too big a deficit. You know, terrible, terrible turnover, which is my bad thing. But I'm going to get to that. Um, yeah, Nuge was he made that play, and then he gets in the fight with Monahan, and he holds his own, lands a couple punches. He takes the shot, really wicked shot, grade B scoring chance that Yamamoto puts in on the rebound.
hmm
Um, he set up Draisaitl on a chance. He was flying all night. I thought he played really well. He brought his A game. There's a lot of Oilers who did. I thought Yamamoto was
Yeah,
strong. Clefbaum, Gagne.
yeah. Gagne was loaded for bear. He and Nuge came out of the bench, out of the gate, just on fire. And Gagne made a number of strong plays. He really was throwing himself into the game there. He tried to cremate Noah Hannafin on a flying.
Oh, was that Hannafin or Hamonic?
I think it was Hannafin that he missed, and when he hit the boards there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Hamonic had a quietly great game for Calgary. Man, he's tough to get around. Anyway, yeah, Sam was going, and they
He
had.
must have felt the hockey gods were with him, Bruce, because he had that really good scoring chance and he tries a 360 spinorama to put it in the net. So you're playing with a high amount of confidence and gusto when you're trying to execute a move like that on a good scoring chance. And now you have cat trouble. We're
I
having
have a
cat
cat
trouble.
at the door. You might be able to hear it. If you watch the door, it'll subtly move exactly one cat width open, and then the cat will slink through. Then you won't hear any more from her. She'll just be eating.
Yeah. Yeah. That Flames goal was like one hundredth of a cat width from going into the net.
Oh, yes. That was real close, but the call was right. The whole puck didn't cross the whole line. It was damn close. But,
What is your bad thing?
well, there was lots of things tonight, but for all that the NHL had their player safety guy out there, and they had their supervisor of officials out there. To my eye, the worst foul of this game was somehow missed when Mark Giordano on Connor McDavid. I mean, you think they might be looking for Mark Giordano on Connor McDavid? Maybe they might be looking for. What do you think, David? Maybe should be looking for Giordano on McDavid. I was really hoping, frankly, after that documentary ran, that the league would watch it and realize that, you know what, we need to do a little better job protecting our stars. And this was their first chance, and they totally blew it on a blatant, open ice, to my eye, dirty, dangerous play
that was
by
dirty.
Giordano.
Yeah.
And I mean, he reacted, and it wasn't. Some people said knee on knee. To me, it was more skate on skate. But he got a big chunk of McDavid on his left leg just as he was going by. And Connor was enraged. I haven't seen him that mad for a long time. He first of all, he hacked a guy in the corner, which at least they didn't call that. But and then he was on the bench. He was giving it to the ref, and with cause. Like, how did they miss that? I mean, what are they looking at? Like, the puck is there. There's two guys, nobody else around him. And the one guy's obviously beating the other guy and going around him. The guy sticks his leg out and clips him. How do they not hear it? I mean, what in the hell are they doing? I just don't understand it. And I guess the refs, I mean, I don't know what happened in the second intermission, because they did call 3 penalties on Calgary in the third period. And at least one of them was pretty soft, but, I'm not complaining about the officiating in the game. I'm complaining about that one call.
Mm-hmm.
But, that was the danger play in the game. And, if McDavid, I mean, not that it's going to change things if a guy gets hurt, but they got to start enforcing the rules when these guys are reacting to him like that. If he's good enough to beat them, then he beats them. None of this, oh, well, he's so good that we got to let the other guys hack and chop and trip and stick their legs out and dive into his skates and whatever. And, Mark Giordano's a good guy. He'll apologize later, so we know it's all good. So anyway, I was as mad as McDavid was at that moment in time. So to me, that's my bad thing out of that game. And there was sloppiness on the part of the Oilers, and you could pick a few bad things out of there too, as I'm sure you're about to.
Yes.
But I'm going to stick with whining about the officials.
If McDavid had 5 clipboards, he would have broken all of them, Bruce, on the bench right now. That's how mad he was. I've never seen him that mad. I've never seen Connor McDavid that mad. He was dropping F-bombs like they were going out of style. He snapped his stick. He was just like nutty mad. He was red hot.
They didn't give him a bench minor for cussing him out.
Yeah. All part of the Battle of Alberta, man. That's you got to have some legendary anger as well to make it start cooking, and it's cooking now. My bad thing. Okay, Leon Draisaitl had the weirdest game of his year. Because he made so many great plays. He made, how many end-to-end rushes did he have?
2.
At least 2. He was just flying out there, won in overtime. He nearly wins it in overtime. Man, that would have been fantastic if he had won that in overtime on that rush, Bruce. But did he ever make some stinker plays? And that's including the first goal, which wasn't a major stinker play, but he let his man he stopped moving. He was on the back check, kind of gives up, stopped moving his feet, and his man puts the puck on net, which is deflected in by Adam Larson. If Draisaitl's moving his feet, he can stop that puck from going at the net, and he wasn't. But worse than that came, his turnover to Monahan in the first period, which almost scored, but for Nugent Hopkins, great play. And then after making a great rush on the power play in the third, he gives away the puck to Derek Ryan.
I have no idea who that pass was going. You know what that pass reminded me of? Watch the replay of it and you'll see it. And believe me, you'll see the replay probably another 1,000,000 times in your life. Theo Fleury's famous overtime goal against the Oilers. Mark Messier fed that same pass to Theo Fleury in that overtime game where he just passed it behind everybody and right on the stick of the opponent. It just walked in. Same position on the ice for both players and everything. And at least this time, Smith came up with a huge save there to save Leon's bacon because they score there. It's 4-2, and for sure it's game over that late in the third period.
I mean, we have had some technical difficulties there. I had a little thing that said poor connection, so the glitch wasn't
Okay.
too long, fortunately.
Okay.
Just like Leon Draisaitl had some technical difficulties on that turnover.
We had 6
Then in
official
overtime,
giveaways in the game, which is a lot.
yeah, in overtime, he was caught out a couple times, and he was dead tired. Might
Also,
have to
nearly
use a few more
scored twice.
players. He almost scored twice in over. He was the first star, Bruce. It was a very he had fantastic plays and he had atrocious plays. It was one of the weirdest kind of it was a Draisaitlian game in a lot of ways because that can be Leon, kind of up and down.
He just
All
couldn't
right,
solve David Riddick. He did get 2 assists, but man, he just couldn't beat Riddick. He had a few real good looks.
you'll get him next time. All right, your number.
I'm going to go with 12 just because it's such an unusual number. It even doesn't hits by Darnell Nurse in this game. Nurse did play a monster game, 27 minutes and 38 seconds, most on the blue line, and he was. I liked most of his game. I think it was a little bit maybe caught flat-footed on was it the 2-1 goal
Oh,
by
he sure
Calgary?
did. He
Uh,
had to pick up Mangiapane in the slot there, and he just stood. He just didn't read the play. He didn't recognize it,
yeah,
and boom,
and
it's in the net.
I liked a lot of his game. I thought he was really quite proactive. I thought his passing was good. I thought his zone coverage was good. He was moving the puck to bear as appropriate. Um, but he is a high event player, and I mean on these 12 hits, at least one of them he ran way out of position to hammer a guy in the neutral zone, possibly Kachuk. But it wound up with a 2-on-1 with Johnny Goodrow and
Is that the
uh,
cat?
that's my son, Johnny Goodrow and I can't remember who he tried to get the pass through to. Was it Monahan? And Ethan Bear got a skate on the pass. An Oiler defenseman actually broke up a 2-on-1 pass. Also a first of this century.
Bear is so
Feels
good.
like it.
Ethan Bear is so good. Chris Russell
Yeah,
breaks up those 2-on-ones
yeah,
quite a bit,
yeah.
Bruce.
No, that's true. Anyway, it was that was a key play, and Nurse did run out of position, but he was not hanging back, Darnell. He brought his skating legs and he brought his mean streak, and he played a hard game, and I thought largely an effective game with a couple of blunders thrown in for balance. But 12 hits, and a few of them were, none sort of obvious highlight reel blowing guys up, but he did hammer Matt Kachuk down pretty hard one time, and that one was kind of borderline, could have been a penalty probably. And uh, anyway, that's the most hits I've seen in a long time. Double digits on any of the event summary um, columns other than face-offs. Double digits are very rare for shots, or block shots, hits, whatever. You'd almost very rarely see 10, and in this case 12. So that's my number.
Okay, my number is Zack Kassian. His number line. Is from the event summary.
Hmm.
So he only played 12-20.
Hmm.
He got one penalty for 5 minutes, which was the revenge fight, which was, you know, exciting in the moment, but kind of didn't factor into the game at all.
Hmm.
Um, he had one shot, one missed shot, two hits. Am I reading his? Yeah.
Hmm.
Two hits, two giveaways, and a takeaway. And Bruce, I just thought he had a really nothing game.
Hmm.
I was expecting some energy out of him, but it just maybe he just felt all eyes were upon him, and he just was out of sync because of that. But he didn't play his game. He was a non-factor in the game. He had one good hit and one good shot, but after that fight, he was a complete non-entity in the game.
Yeah. So he had
And
that good shot early, on the 2-on-1.
yeah, he just was not. He just so there's word that he signed a 4-year, $3.2 million deal. best of all, Bruce, there's not a no trade or no movement.
Yeah.
And this is I'll ask you. We'll talk about that a little bit afterwards. But yeah, not a great game from Kassian. Most a few of the Oilers didn't have good games. I didn't love Nurse's game honestly because of that play on the goal and the
Hmm.
2-on-1. Those are
No,
pretty
I didn't
critical
love his
plays.
game. I liked lots of his game.
Sheahan really struggled. Sheahan let Mangiapane out of the corner on the third goal against. I just hated that play from Sheahan. And listen, and even though I hated it, I like the player actually. I think he's a good hockey player, a good
Mhm.
defensive player. And I know how hard it is in hockey. You're just out there and things happen fast. He's watching the puck and his guy goes to the net, gets the pass
Yeah.
and scores. But this is the thing about being in the NHL. You get a lot of money and you get a lot of criticism now and then when you make a bad play. So
Last minute in the second period of a tie game is not the time to be losing your man.
when you're a defensive checking center,
Yeah,
no, it is
especially
not.
then. Yeah.
Well, Bruce, let's just finish up with your quick take on the Kassian contract. Would you give it thumbs up or thumbs down?
Uh, well,
Because it's got to be either, Bruce. We
yeah,
need a
well,
yes or a no.
there's no sort of saying it's in the middle.
No,
I'm in the
because
middle.
the contract either it's one of those things that's either
I think it's
offered
defense. I
and
think it's
signed.
defensible.
All right, so then
It,
it's a thumbs up.
it's. I mean, it's richer than you would like, and it's longer term than you would like. But it's pretty clear that the fourth year was added to bring the cap hit down. Because in each of the first 3 years, I mean, there's bonuses in there and stuff. I forgot about that. He actually gets paid 3.5 million in each of the first 3 years, and then 2.3 in the fourth year to bring the average down to 3.2. And what that does is well, it gives the player obviously extra security, and it puts the team on the hook for another year, but it does bring the price point down a little bit. It does make him more tradable uh, towards the end of the contract, just like the 4-year Chris Russell deal that everybody hates
Not
is
me. I like
tradable
it.
at the end. Almost everybody. Many people hate. But the last year is more tradable because his actual salary, commitment salary, is considerably below his cap hit, and that'll be the same for Zack Kassian. But better still, unlike the Chris Russell contract, which had a no movement clause for 2 years and then limited no trade for the other 2 years, Cassian's got nothing of that. They can move the guy. They can leave him unprotected in the waiver draft. If they lose him, well, that sucks in one level. But, it's not like where they had with Lucic, where they would have had to protect the guy, even though he's one of the worst players on the team because of the structure of his contract. So this is a little bit of a tell on Ken Holland, maybe that he doesn't want to go that route with this team, and offer a bunch of this these uh, restrictive clauses that work to the players' advantage and not to the teams. And so that part's good. I think for what he is, I mean, you'd like to see like what Pittsburgh Penguins do. They always seem to have Connor Sherry or Brian Rust or Jake Gensel or somebody who's playing on Sid's wing and making $1 million and scoring 25 goals, right? And that's not going to be the case with Kassian. Uh, that said, uh, he's really come out as a solid player in the last half of the 3-year deal he signed with Peter Chiarelli in the summer of 2017. The first half of that contract, he really got almost nothing done. But in 2019, once they did move him up, he scored in calendar 2019. I keep going back to this, but it's a good takeaway because it's basically his most recent performance. 82 games played, 26 goals, 24 assists, plus 6 or 8. I can't remember for sure, but a plus player, and 49 of the 50 points at even strength. It's not like he's
Wow.
getting a bunch of cheap points on the power play. He gets no points on the power play. So that limits the value of the contract. That's why he's not a $4.5 or $5 million player. If he was scoring 10 or 15 points on the power play in addition to the other, so that's like he's been a productive player in that in that elite situation, playing with those line mates. So uh, you wonder if there were other alternatives available and other solutions available. But I think the contract came in at less of a bashing cap hit than we thought it might be. Like we were talking 4 times 4 or 4 times
Mm.
3.75,
Yeah.
and so
Uh,
it's significantly less than that, if not enough less. And now the question is, will he be able to carry on playing the way he's been playing now that it's no longer a contract year for him? He's
that's the that is yeah,
he's
that's the
got
big deal.
his security now. Um, but I think he's in a happy place, and this is a guy who is a bit of a wild man for the first number of years of his career, and he seems to have figured out a fair amount of it. Still a little erratic, but he's got some good qualities. He's big. He's a right-hand shot. He can skate. He's got a decent right-hand shot. Like he can beat goalies with a shot occasionally. He's a heavy hitter. He's a physical player. He's a bit of an intimidating presence. Uh, McDavid likes him. You put all those things together, and there's value there. And some teams would say, well, there's a power forward that maybe is worth closer to $5 million. Well, the Oilers didn't pay anywhere close to that. So
He would have got at least what he got on the open market, I believe, because he can. People will say, well, Maroon got a lot less. Well, Maroon's a lot slower skater,
yep,
and I think because Cassian's can skate as well as he can, he would give a GM confidence that he will be able to keep up through the next 4 years of his contract. So I think he would have got this contract, just like Chris Russell. I think would have got that contract on the open market. I think Cassian would at least get this amount. I thought he'd get the Furlan contract, which is 3.5 over 4 years. It was close to that. I was worried it was going to be closer to 4 million a
right.
year for 4 years or a 5 year deal, which I didn't like the sound of either. So it's not, yeah. Would I like if he had signed for 4 years at 2.8 or 2.9? Of course, but that's not realistic. He was never going to
Right.
sign for that because the open market, and I think that's the real question. So I guess you could say, well, the open market would pay that amount. The Oilers didn't have to. They could have just let him go. They could have traded him at the deadline. We discussed this at the last
Right.
podcast. They could have
Yep.
traded him at the deadline, played money puck, or not signed him this summer, used him
Mhm.
as kept him as their own rental and not signed him this summer. I don't know, Bruce. Connor McDavid's in his prime. They've got to try to win cups. Zack Kassian can help you win cups. If he can replicate these seasons, Bruce, he's a bargain. If he can replicate the season he's had 2 or 3 times now, he will be a bargain. He'll be worth his weight in gold, and that's five. If he's, I worked it out. It's 5.5 million his weight in gold. So if he can replicate these seasons, he's worth his weight in gold each year. It's a bargain
Mhm.
contract if he replicates it because he not only scores all those even strength points, he's such a tough son of a gun. That really helps the Oilers. He's a true NHL power forward.
Yes.
So I'm going to give it a thumbs up. Although I think it's an okay to good contract. There's a
Hmm.
lot of risk
They're
attached to
paying
it.
value for the player for sure. I mean, they didn't get him cheap, but I don't think they it could have been more expensive. But now I need to know, what does Zack Kassian weigh in Troy ounces?
Maybe I didn't calculate it correctly. I did I did the 16 ounces per pound times
Uh,
215 times
I don't know what a Troy ounce is,
1,566.
just that they use
I
it to
don't even
measure
know yet.
gold.
Yeah. A gold. That's what we need at the Coliseum at the downtown arena is a gold statue of Zack Kassian, just like the Rhino on Spider-Man. A gold statue of Zack Kassian. All right.
Put it right
Well,
next to
Bruce,
that Matthew Kachuk billboard, eh?
I don't. Yeah, kind of a Turtlegate kind of petered out. I mean, it certainly amped up.
Well,
That energy went into the game, and the game lived up to its billing. I think in
mhm.
every single way and beyond.
Well,
It was
Kachuk answered the bell, and
good for him.
the thought was, if he did, that might put an end to it, and largely it did. Now, I mean, I still have my concerns about Mr. Giordano, but I'm wondering what point he needs to answer the bell, and how you even ring that bell. I don't know. I mean,
Well, D-men have to be careful. They can get lined up for big hits quite
Mm-hmm.
easily, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens in that
Yeah.
regard. That's all I'm saying, Bruce. I'm not saying
Yeah.
anything else.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's certainly a possibility. It didn't really seem to happen tonight to him. Little feisty little Josh Archibald had 7 hits in this game. Man, that guy doesn't quit, eh?
I like him. Yeah, he's a good
Yeah,
player.
he brings it. He lays his body on the line, and you got to respect that.
Yeah. All right, Bruce. Let's leave it there for tonight. It's getting
All right.
late. So thanks for talking.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.